Hey, welcome to or back to BarbieCoProductions. And today I am putting together some new characters for a story that I'm planning. These are the dolls that I've picked out. I went through and was just using some acetone to take off the factory paint, so I thought I might just put the camera on and make a video about it. Starting out, I'm just going through and re-outlining the eyes with this Sharpie pen that I have. When I went to go plan this story, I was looking in my box of characters and I realized how I hadn't really been making any new characters recently. So today, that needs to change. Now I'm just mixing up some paint for the corners of the eyes. I had some comments of people saying that I should try watering down the acrylic paint, so I've been trying that out recently. I think it works quite well and helps reduce a lot of that thick, bulky part of it, which is the part that I was not liking. But in doing this, I am feeling a bit out of practice as it has been a while. So some things that I used to be doing on there, now I'm wondering how to do them. So making these was taking me a bit longer than usual. In the end, I will have some new characters for my story and will have been back practicing some repainting. Even though there's already been a few mistakes and it's taking me longer than usual, it feels really good to be back making characters again. And to finally be working through the mammoth of a collection of Barbies that I have for customizing and repainting. So it's good to be finally ticking a few off the list. I'm moving on to the eyes now. For a lot of them, I'm not changing too many of the original colors, aside from the lip paint. I've been looking around recently at all the new Barbies that have been coming out, and I'm not sure if I didn't pay as much attention or if through the end of last year and now into the start of this year, they've just been releasing a lot more than normal. I have seen a few interesting things. I did see the Barbie with the interchangeable hands, which I thought was quite interesting. I do like that idea though, the idea of changing out the hands into different poses. And I keep seeing pictures of the new single basics dolls, and that Ken is definitely one I'm interested in seeing. He looks quite cool, and the new body type as well. So I will be on the lookout for him. I did also like the doll that had the blonde curly hair. I forget the name of what the face sculpt was called, but the hair and that doll in general reminds me of the BMR Millie doll with the blonde curls as well. And I am interested to see if any of the skin tones from that new line fill in any of the previous gaps of the colors in the made to move bodies, as there is still quite a few dolls that don't have a proper match. I'm not sure about other places, but at least here where I am in Australia, I've been looking in the Barbie section at stores recently and it has been nearly empty. So I haven't been seeing many of the new dolls around, or fashionistas, or really any new made to moves, which is definitely different compared to how it used to be a few years ago. No matter how many repaints I do, this part seems to always be the bit that I struggle with the most, and it is repainting the lips. Getting the shape right and the color right is definitely the part I struggle with the most. And that sits just above making sure the eyes are even. I'm coming back to this girl here and just giving her lips a second coat, as they didn't turn out quite as dark as I thought they were going to. For this girl, the first colour that I put on was not the right colour. It dried looking very different and way too light. So I took it off and I'm starting again with a colour that's just a bit darker. I'm just slowly building up the shades to hopefully get the right colour that I'm looking for. For this doll here, I'm just going through and adding a few little beauty spots using my new favourite paintbrush. And I'm also using some of the same brown paint to try and cancel out the pixelation on her face. Now I'm just layering some brown paint to hopefully get the right tone of pink. While I have this brown paint out, one thing that I want to try on this Barbie here is using the brown paint to go through and age her face. I don't have a reference for this, so I'm just kind of freehanding it. But after recently seeing the Opal Lee Barbie that they made, I was thinking about how few older characters there really are, so I'm trying to go through and take some of the dolls that I have and age them up. And I must say, this was very fun. Painting these lines on, especially with this brush, was very satisfying. Okay, the last little bit of tweaking to this lip color before I leave it alone. Now I'm just using some gloss and matte Mod Podge to seal the paint. I'm using the gloss here for the eyes. I like the eyes to look quite shiny, as when I'm filming my stories, the light reflects in their eyes, which I think is quite a nice look, and it also helps them stand out under the eyelashes. Whereas with the lips, I find that using the gloss ends up being a bit too shiny. And now I'm using the matte for the lips. This is also the first time that I've used this specific paintbrush, as normally I use round brushes, but this flat brush actually worked really well for what I was doing here. So that one will definitely be reoccurring now. Another thing I want to try is going through on this Barbie and taking a few plugs of hair out of the really dense parts on top of her head, just to hopefully make her hair sit a little bit flatter. This is the first time I'm trying this, but I figured if it doesn't work out the way that I wanted it to, I can always give her a reroute. It's a little bit hard to see which side I took the hair from, but it is on the left side. And I think it looks like it's sitting just a little bit flatter at the root. Maybe I'm just hoping that's what it looks like though. And after a quick haircut, here she is. I ended up taking a lot of length off as I originally wanted to cut this doll's hair short. And now I have this rerooting hair that I got years ago in the color Frosted Brunette. And it kind of reminds me of grey hair, but not a full silvery grey, more of a grey and blonde, light brown kind of mix. So I'm going to use this to try and give her some grey hair. And as I was adding this, it did remind me a lot of either highlights or tinsel, just because of how shiny it was compared to the rest of her hair. But I think by the time I blend it all into her hair, it'll look like it's meant to be there. Here she is after a boil wash and a quick trip in the freezer. And now I'm just cutting all of these grey pieces to the length of the rest of her hair. Here she is after that. I do hope in the future to go through and try a hair curling method to add some of the curl back to her ends. But for now, I think this is pretty good. I did try and blend the grey pieces in just a little bit so it went more throughout her hair rather than just sitting on top. But I think for my first attempt, I'm pretty happy. Now for these two. They obviously need a body. So I have this one here, which I'm not sure exactly which one it is, but I'm pretty sure it is the older Barbie Yoga purple top doll. I've had this doll for quite a while. And recently I found this doll at the op shop for $2. She had just a standard Millie face, but I'm not sure exactly which doll she is. Here they are on their bodies. Neither are a perfect match. As you can see with this one, the color match is not perfect, but I don't think it'll be too noticeable. I also went through and started making their uniforms. So these are the shirts that I've made so far, and here's how they look on. I also recently made, hey, look at the camera. I also recently made this Ken. He is, from what I know, a fashion fever Ken. I found him on eBay and I used my neck method to put him on a made to move body. I also gave him a bit of a beard, but I might need to tweak the beard as I'm not so sure about it. The room box is a little bit of a mess now after all that, but here is what the characters are looking like so far. And I'm just happy to be seeing more characters coming together. One thing that I do want to do for this girl is pierce her ears. So I have this thumbtack. And I have these earrings that I recently found. I made these earrings years ago, maybe 4 years ago, and I had lost them quite a while ago, so nobody has worn these for quite a while. But I think they look quite good on her. And for my older character here, I just want to go through and twist this part of her hair back. And use one of these little clips. I got these clips quite a while ago as well. I'm pretty sure I just found them at a supermarket, but I've never found them again since. And I love them, they're great clips. Next, I'm going through and adding some rooted eyelashes to these dolls. I know this doesn't look like they've been done, but these are what they look like done. You can only really see them when I turn the dolls to the side or at a 3/4 facing away angle. You can kind of see them. But for this doll, I've got a different type of rerooting hair. It's more of a blonde, light brown, but it also has some ginger in it. So I'm using that for her eyelashes, which once again, you can't really see. Now, if I go through and move all of these dolls out, and pack up this bit of mess, I just want to show you these wall panels that I have. These are 2 more that I've recently cut out, and these are what I use to be able to change out my wall colors. Since my room boxes are made of wood and I have limited space, I have a couple of them that normally sit inside each other, and then I use these type of panels to change out the wall colors so I'm not having to constantly repaint the walls. This is one that I use quite often, this green half wall. But going through and making these is my favorite way to change out the wall texture and the wall color, and I also find them really easy to store. Moving on, I went through and made the pants to go with the uniform tops. I made 2 pairs of pants, one in standard and one in curvy, and then I also made 2 skirts to match. I used some elastic to make sure they stay in place, and this is elastic that I recently found at the op shop. It was on a whole big roll of it for $10, and it was a lot of it. So that was quite well timed for making those skirts. Here's what all the pants and skirts look like on. I'm quite happy with these. Now I just need to go through and make personalizing accessories. And I do have some plans for some jackets, jumpers, cardigans, that sort of thing. And they all need shoes. That's very obvious, they need shoes. But that is the end of today's video. I really hope you enjoyed. If you did, feel free to let me know in the comment section down below, or check out my community tab where I post regular behind the scenes pictures and updates. I will see you in my next video when I have more updates for stuff I'm working on for this story. Bye for now! Just as a quick disclaimer, my videos are intended for a 13+ audience and are not made for kids. As an adult who collects dolls, I use customization methods and sharp tools that are not suitable for children.